St. John Bosco, who ran a school for boys, had a powerful dream where a group of his students were following him. Now, the following words that I'm going to share with you are just excerpts from that dream. He says, "I went to bed and fell asleep. Immediately, the same person of the night before appeared at my bedside. 'Get up and follow me,' he said. We took the road. It was beautiful, wide, and neatly paved. I noticed now one and now another fall to the ground and instantly be dragged by an unseen force toward a frightful drop, distantly visible, which sloped into a furnace. 'What makes these boys fall?' I asked my companion. 'Take a closer look,' he replied. I did. Traps were everywhere, some close to the ground, others at eye level, but all well conceived. Unaware of their danger, many boys got caught and tripped. Some got trapped by the head, others by the neck, hands, arms, legs, or sides, and were pulled down instantly. The ground traps, fine as spiders' webs and hardly visible, seemed very flimsy and harmless. Yet, to my surprise, every boy they snared fell to the ground. Noticing my astonishment, the guide remarked, 'Do you know what this is?' 'Just some flimsy fiber,' I answered. 'A mere nothing,' he said. 'Just plain human respect.' Carefully examining many of the traps, I saw that each bore an inscription: pride, disobedience, envy, sixth commandment, theft, gluttony, sloth, anger, and so on. Stepping back a bit to see which ones trapped the greater number of boys, I discovered that the most dangerous were those of impurity, disobedience, and pride. We continued our descent, the road now becoming so frightfully steep that it was almost impossible to stand erect. And then at the bottom of this precipice, at the entrance of a dark valley, an enormous building loomed into sight, its towering portal tightly locked, facing our road. When I finally got to the bottom, I became smothered by a suffocating heat, while a greasy green-tinted smoke, lit by flashes of scarlet flames, rose from behind those enormous walls which loomed higher than mountains. 'Where are we? What is this?' I asked my guide. 'Read the inscription on that portal, and you will know.' I looked up and read these words: 'The place of no reprieve.' I realized that we were at the gates of hell. Now, Bosco goes on to describe the horrors that he sees, how souls pass through one impenetrable gate to the next, all of them slamming behind him as his soul hurls itself into the abyss. He describes the fires, the pain, the screaming, the despair, the whole thing that you would expect. But at a certain point in his description and in his dream, his guide turns to him and says very simply, and this is the part that I think is most important for us: bad companions, bad books, and bad habits are mainly responsible for so many eternally lost. Now, why am I sharing this very dark passage with you on a day that is really meant to be marked by joy? We're talking about the Epiphany, right? We're singing about the kings who go and find the infant Christ with the Holy Family. I share it with you precisely because it's, if you notice, the exact inverse of everything that we're commemorating today. On the Feast of the Epiphany, we are reminded that these wise men also followed a road, but it was one that led to heaven, not to hell. Theirs was difficult and dangerous desert terrain, not the smooth, beautiful path that Bosco found himself on. And while the journey for the Magi was much more difficult, their experience and, of course, the outcome of their journey was totally different. It was a journey of hope, not one of despair. It was an exercise of freedom as they chose to follow a star, not one of force as if caught by a snare like these boys. It was a star that led them to the light of the world, not into an abyss of darkness, and one that ultimately ends in the Father's house, not some haunted building, which brings its residents peace, not terror, joy, not pain, freedom, not everlasting imprisonment. However, despite the vast differences between the Magi and these souls condemned to hell, that which played the most significant role in determining the outcome for each was exactly the same. The companions they kept, the media they engaged, and the habits of life that they adopted. Which is why it's important for us to actually reflect on the role of those things in our own life as well. You've probably heard the expression, you are the friends that you keep. It's a great quip, and it's very smart because it's true. It's what makes fads possible, why mullets have come back into vogue. It's why teenagers are on motorized scooters. They didn't find them one at a time. They all landed on them at the same time because you are the friends you keep. Friendship is what shapes our values. And those souls who are hurling into hell are the ones who kept friendships with people who didn't value Christ or his gospel, who downplayed the warnings that he issued, ignored Christ's call to conversion, and pressured their friends just by their own example to do the same. But you'll notice the Magi also had each other. Each a student of the divine whose intentions they believed were inscribed in the cosmos, and they sought it out. Each challenging one another to integrity in their research and encouragement as they sought for truth, unbiased by culture or context, and all of them restless until they found it. It reminds me of the friendship between St. Basil and St. Gregory, of which they write about and is found in the Liturgy of the Hours, the Office of Readings. Describing their friendship, this is what they said. Our single object and ambition was virtue and a life of hope and the blessings that are to come. We wanted to withdraw from this world before we departed from it. With this end in view, we ordered our lives and all of our actions. We followed the guidance of God's law and spurred each other on to virtue. If it is not too boastful to say, we found in each other a standard and rule for discerning right from wrong. Different men have different names, which they owe to their parents or to themselves, that is, to their own pursuits and achievements. But our great pursuit, the great name we wanted, was to be Christians, to be called Christians. Could you say the same about the friends you keep? Consider access to media. Now, Bosco, of course, is referring to books, but this is way before the dawn of the internet. And we can include so much more in that category. What's being referenced here is the resources that we engage that have powerful influence over the posture of our soul. So the question is, do the books we engage, the articles we read, the movies we watch, the social media we enjoy, bear the fruit of enriching our faith, building our hope, counseling us with wisdom, deepening our knowledge of God and self, and lead us to virtue, as was the case with the Magi, who are constantly learning? Or do they sow in us pride, lust, and disobedience? Do they undermine our faith, fill us with outrage, lead us to cynicism, and foster lethargy in our spiritual zeal, as it did with the souls of the damned? It's a good question, and we should be asking the same question about the habits of our life. When I come home from work, do I just slap on the TV and throw back half a bottle of bourbon and just let the night lead itself into sleep and slumber? Or am I engaging that period of recreation in a manner that is benefiting and lifting up my soul to God? Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to be most important. And so while the feast we celebrate today commemorates many, many things, the revelation of God visible in the flesh, the invitation to salvation for the whole world, not just the Jews, the dignity of Christ's threefold office as priest, prophet, and king made apparent by the different gifts the Magi bring, it is also a celebration of those who made it, right? The ones who found the things that lead to life. And in so doing, drawing our attention to the very same. Because in the end, there are only two possible paths in life. But the million-dollar question is, which one of them am I on now?